Hello, welcome to the second episode of this podcast of this channel. Welcome. All right, as you can see, this is my second one. My last one doesn't really need some edit, so good. That's very nice. It's very nice. I hope I can do this a bit more better in some ways, right? Okay. Hello, and today we'll be discussing about why modern life can feel meaningless. I don't know if I should do this or that. I will follow the other one. Yeah, right. Okay. Hello. Let's settle in. And I'll try to read the intro without making it so weird. Let's go, let's do it. Welcome to this episode. It's a bit of a sequel from the last episode where we discuss about the philosophy of loneliness. And now we will be diving into a profound question that many of us grapple with in the 21st century about why does modern life often feel meaningless? Right? Despite our technology getting more advanced every day, material comfort and access to information is in a touch of a finger, but still a pervasive sense of emptiness and lack of purpose haunts many. And so many people on the internet have discussed regarding this interesting topic, especially like why modern life can feel meaningless or empty or anything else, right? I'm pretty, if you really watch this kind of like video, I'm pretty sure you've come across one or two this particular about this particular like theme or something. I've seen a lot about this, so I might as well jump into this, and we're gonna discuss and explore this paradox together through the lens of philosophy, psychology, and culture, uncovering why meaning can seem elusive and how we might reclaim it, and maybe life can feel a bit more full and happy for us. Well, we're gonna discuss and learn how, right? To understand why modern life can feel meaningless, we must first look back to the past. For millennia, human societies found meaning through shared traditions, religious faith, and communal roles. Life's purpose was often clear: to serve gods, uphold social order, or fulfill a divinely ordained destiny. And some is born with this sense of responsibility, like Prince. They have responsibility to maintain a kingdom and hopefully to be a king, right? Princess to be like a queen, for example. And for example, like back then, they have like these higher ups of the town to live up the legacies of their father, right? The kid's gonna be like the baron or whatever, something like that, right? It happens a lot, which is still happening to this day to some degree. Like for example, like uh, how do I say, like CEOs, they just pass their legacies and companies to their son. Something similar happens like that. Well, a lot. However, the Enlightenment and the rise of modernity brought radical change. Reason, science, and individual and autonomy replaced faith and tradition as the primary guides. This shift liberated individuals from dogma, but also dissolved the collective narrative that once provided sense of belonging and purpose. For example, in medieval Europe, meaning was embedded in Christian worldview. Life was a pilgrimage towards salvation. Today, many live in secular societies where such grand narrative no longer holds sway. And this transition created a vacuum without inherited meaning. Individual must now confront the doubting task of creating their own. Like nowadays, you don't really often have that. Like many of us, we just like, for example, we grow up after schools and maybe pursue educations, further educations, and then you just get this like choices. You want to be an astronaut, you want to be like a teacher, you want to be a professor, you want to be like an archaeologist, for example. You have all these many sort of option, and because of you have these so many options, you just like have this like uh kind of like anxiety because you have so many options, right? You don't want to take something wrong. But back then you were just like you get born into the world, and then your family just get this like one or two, for example, and then you just gotta like live up to that destiny, all that stuff, right? And this modernized world also creates some aspects in philosophical aspects such as existentialism, nihilism, and postmodernism, and the loss of grand narratives, which we'll be discussing, further, right? Obviously, I don't know why I say that, but let's do it. First is like, first is existential. First is existentialism, confronting the absurd. Existentialism is a philosophical movement that directly addresses the crisis of meaning in modern life. Thinkers like Soren Kierkegaard, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Albert Camus explore how individuals face a universe indifferent to human concerns. Soren Kierkegaard emphasized the leap of faith, the necessity of personal commitment in the face of uncertainty. Sartre famously declared existence precedes essence, meaning we are born without predetermined purpose and must forge our own identity through choices, which what I said earlier. Yeah, which I said earlier, you know. Camus introduced the concept of the absurd, the clash between our desire for meaning and the universe silence. If you don't know Albert Camus, basically Albert Camus is like he doesn't call himself a philosopher. He calls himself a writer though. He's like a French journalist. He was very famous. Who doesn't know Albert Camus? But if you don't know, now you know. He's like the one that said about the Sisyphus. If you know, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. You know, to think about the absurdity of the moment, and if he actually reach the top, he gonna feel like there's some sort of like fulfillment that he gets the job done. I mean, like that's the absurdity, right? And then we also get that The Stranger by Albert Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus, right? The Stranger. Oh my god, I forget. But you guys know. I don't know why every time I look into camera and then I just suddenly like forget everything that I knew. But yeah, basically like what Albert Camus, like all this is like he wants us to feel happy even though it happens to us. He just looks at this like something else, the absurdity, right? Something else rather than like the actual meaning, and just embrace life itself. Soren Kierkegaard is the one that matters, not matters, I mean like the one who actually like talk to us about like loneliness and solitude, how it actually like affects us in a way. Albert Camus is the type of that make us learn about the absurdity and how we'll be like more happy with it. I mean, they're just like an example, but that's basically what Albert Camus philosophy is. I will be suggesting more of his work because I really know it's actually nice. I've wanted to read some of his book, but I still didn't find a book yet. And when I found it, it's actually like very very expensive. So, and I still have a lot of books that I haven't actually like read. I have some books that I wanted to read and then I forget it. And there is something I reading that I'm actually like reads, and then because how it's like so long, I'm getting like, oh my god, this is so long. I've been itching to start a new book, so I don't know about it. Okay, let's continue before I get ahead of myself again. Camus' metaphor of Sisyphus, eternally pushing a boulder uphill only for it to roll back down, illustrates this absurdity. Yet Camus argues we must imagine Sisyphus happy, embracing the struggle itself as meaningful. He sees these struggles about like sees the struggle about the Sisyphus rolling boulder up the hill, and then for it to be like rolling back down by itself. It's like us reaching to the top, and then something happens that requires us to learn why and how we will get further on. Basically that's what I get from that, and I hope that's what people actually like gets from that. I hope. Okay. Deeper. Okay, let's continue again. Deeper inside, existentialism does not repair but challenges us to live authentically, accepting freedom and responsibility as the foundation for creating meaning. This is a very nice concept, right? Existentialism is a pretty good topic, but we're gonna catch more from nihilism. I have known a friend that reads Nietzsche, and then she's a nihilist. Oh my god, nihilist, nihilist. Yes, nihilism is like the lacking of meaning, the void of meaning. So you just like live a life where you're just like simply like unhappy and not happy. You just like lost meanings of life where you could you could see something happen in front of you and you don't feel nothing. You could think about something that will happen and then you feel nothing. That's basically like losing meanings. Oh, sorry. Nietzsche said something about a man. I don't know if Nietzsche. I'm pretty sure it is. A man will suffer when there is some sort of meaning to his suffer, but he will not. He will not he will not suffer when he knows this suffering is a it will come to a vain. It will like goes into nothing. It will means nothing, something like that. I'm pretty sure that's not Nietzsche, but Nietzsche said something like that, very similar, but I don't think that's from Nietzsche. But okay, you get the idea. Okay, oh my god, where are we? Okay, nihilism is belief that life lacks inherent meaning, value, or purpose. Friedrich, Friedrich, Friedrich Nietzsche diagnosed nihilism as a consequence of the death of God, the collapse of traditional religious and moral frameworks. If you don't know, I've know a bit of Nietzsche. I wanted to buy his book back then, but I simply forgot. And when I actually found it, it's not the one that I wanted to buy. So I didn't actually buy it, because if I actually buy it, I will ruin myself. Because oh my god, I don't think Das Spoke Zarathustra will gonna be like the first like starter book for Nietzsche. So I'm pausing I'm pausing before buying this. So Friedrich Nietzsche is a really good philosopher, right? But some of his like philosophy is very intense. If you think about his philosophy in the wrong direction, you will go to a wrong direction. So that's why some people who read Nietzsche are unique. And if you really want to like learn about Nietzsche, you will if you didn't actually like read some of his like the star and recommended books by someone, you're gonna get lost in your life. I mean, not really. People are different, right? Not really lost. I mean, like get Nietzsche in the wrong way, because some of his books, if you didn't really knew Nietzsche, you will get a bit like lost what he's trying to say. In a way, I'm pretty sure it's how it works. Okay, by the death of God, I'm pretty sure someone say like Nietzsche always say this like, God is dead and we have killed him. I'm pretty sure it's something. I know the second part of it, but I think I actually forgot, and I don't want to like ruin myself trying to say something that wasn't actually is. I mean, technically, what? Okay. Let's go. Nietzsche feared that without these frameworks, the religious and moral, society would fall into a despair and moral chaos. However, he also saw nihilism as a transitional phase, urging humanity to overcome it by creating new values, what he called the Ubermensch or Overman. I- how do I actually describe Ubermensch? I know a bit. I know like I learned about this last time. It's basically some sort of like Superman, right? You can like face everything. Basically, some sort of like this Ubermensch that he say. For example, modern secular societies often wrestle with nihilistic tendencies, manifesting as cynicism, apathy, and essential dread. Nihilism forces us to confront the possibility that meaning is not given but must be invented. See, so in order to like get Ubermensch, is some sort of like creating new values, craving your own path in a way. It's a very interesting philosophy actually. Ubermensch is a very good in a way, but nihilism is a I don't know about nihilism. Nihilism is very unique in a way also, like absurdity and all. Like I remember like this one philosopher that abandoned everything he owns just to live outside in like this humble kind of like small little stuff to like escape from how do I say escape from the world desires. So he just like live by himself and make himself further from anything that will for his view as someone that you're gonna get affected, your happiness, your sadness, and everything by possession, right? Something like that. I forget what. I think it's from like I forget. I don't wanna get some else information out of my mouth. So something like that. Yes. I think that's a really good one. Right? And then there's some nihilist that just basically affected by hedonist hedonistic life. like, or you can just like, you got everything you need, you got everything you gotta do, therefore you lost meanings of it. So you just live in this like some sort of world surrounding you, begging for you to touch, you know what I'm saying? Because you are possessed, you're the one who actually like in possession of it. And then because of you have this some sort of like things that you want, things that you need, you just lacking this direction of it, you get lost in meaning, the void of meaning, the void of everything that like you have, right? It's just making you some sort of like nihilist. But some people might argue that that person, for example, is not really a nihilist. He just having this like some sort of like hedonistic life. I think I heard of that example somewhere. Okay, we move on before I talk too much. Oh my god. Postmodernism and the loss of grand narratives. Postmodern thinkers like Jean-Francois Lyotard argue that the grand narratives, religion, progress, and nationalism that once unified societies have lost credibility. His praise is incredulity toward meta narratives, captures the skepticism towards any single, all encompassing story. This fragmentation leads to pluralism and pluralism. This fragmentation leads to pluralism of meanings, but also uncertainty and relativism. Cultural impact. Without shared narratives, individuals may feel isolated, adrift in the sea of competing values and perspectives. Then we're gonna move on. This one actually interesting because without shared narratives, individual may feel isolated, adrift in sea of competing values and perspectives. Because I'm thinking about like you get like skepticism towards any single all-encompassing story because you didn't trust it, and the fragmentation leads to pluralism of meanings, but also, oh my god, hold on, pluralism of meanings, but also uncertainty and relativism. Drift in a sea, combating values and perspectives. It's basically something like because you lost of this some sort of like, and then you feel isolated. You're getting these thoughts about why life feels uh, I mean like meaningless because you isolated from everything, and then you just like you just feel skepticism towards any single story, and then it's kind of like loss of meanings, I think. But I don't know. I I actually just learned about this, not like absurdity or nihilist that actually knows about a bit. I don't really know about this. But he's actually not wrong because in modern lives, everything that unifies society have lost credibility, and I think I can't agree with that. Right? Next one. We're gonna get through this. Philosophy alone doesn't explain the full picture. Psychological and social dynamics also contribute to the sense of meaninglessness, such as social isolation, paradox of choices, consumer culture, social media. And we'll get through it one by one. First, social isolation. Modern urban life often disconnects people from close knit communities, weakening social bonds that provide support and identity. Paradox of choices. Psychologist Barry Schwartz highlights how having too many options can lead to anxiety, regret, and dissatisfaction, undermining fulfillment. Consumer culture. The relentless pursuit of material goods and status can feel hollow, as eternal achievements rarely satisfy deeper existential needs. Social media platforms encourage comparison and curated identities, which can erode authentic self esteem and increase feelings of loneliness. And we'll get through it one by one, I think. Modern urban, modern urban life often disconnects people from close knit communities because people nowadays they just like really liking this some sort of staying at home. Even I mean I can see the good in it because me myself is an introvert, but I don't really stay at home that much. I still kinda go out and talk to my friends, for example, meeting and hang out, for example, and all that stuff. But some, but not everyone does that, right? Because some people just like stay at home and then they prefer to sleep in all day, or they just like to do everything themselves. I'm one of them. But there's like social isolation where you could just go out one day and you don't know who's your neighbor. You know what I'm saying? You could go out one day, for example, someone who works the same jobs that you do. You don't really know them, but they know your name. So when they come out to you, you just like, huh, they kind of like disconnect from your environment. And then paradox of choices. Having too many options can lead to anxiety, regret, and dissatisfaction. This is why this like modern life feels so much different, unlike the old ones where you could just like have this forge one path or two paths, right? You become a farmer or you become a warrior, right? Or you become like a human, all of that stuff, right? But modern life nowadays, you could be like basically like anything you can reach and anything you can imagine. You could do like, you could work in a cafe, you can work in the bank, you might as well work at the mall, you might as well work for the government. You have all these some sort of choices where, because there's so many choices ahead of you, you just feel when you actually pick something, you're gonna have this like regret, and then this will lead to anxiety and dissatisfaction on, oh my god, I wish I when I was younger I do that instead of this. It's giving this unfulfillment in a way. So I guess that's what example you can give right now on this point. Because you have too many choices, you undermine what you get, and then you feel like something else is better than this, even though when you were younger you pick it and then you thought this is a good idea, right? Some people get that. Some people actually still kind of like regret what they choose from when they was younger. But I mean, if you talk to that people again, do you pick this job? Yes. Why? Oh, because this when I was younger I thought this is better. So it's getting this like dissatisfaction from them from doing it, because you have so many options, right? But when you're born from a family of a shoemaker, you could just be a shoemaker. You know, it's right in front of you, right? When nowadays in front of you there's so much where you could pick, and that's kind of like the difference between modern and the past kind of stuff, where you could be this, you could be this, or you could just be a baker from your family owned bakery and all that stuff. And then we get some consumer culture, the relentless pursuit of material goods and status can feel hollow, as external achievement rarely satisfy deeper existential needs. Where when you have this thing, when you have achieved like when you have achieved what you've been like wanting, where you've been like working like years to achieve, and then because you achieve this, you feel this some sort of like hollow, because you've been working years to get into this something or position or something, and when you get it, you kind of like have this hollow about, I already get to this point, what do I do now, but I know, or I heard that this also affects you in a way where, for example, that you get something outside from your what you're trying to climb. You just like overlook the achievement, the small achievement that you did. You just kind of like distracted by this one point that you forget there's like two or three outside of it. And then I know some people that when they get to that point, that this like what you've been like thinking, what you've been like dreaming, what you've been like years preparing for it, you basically get a new one, right? The new meaning. I mean, that's what human is kind of like, they have this sense of drive towards something, that they kind of like, oh my god, I'm gonna buy that Ferrari one day. And then when they have that Ferrari, you're gonna sit there and, what now, I get this Ferrari, what now? And then suddenly you look at a new LaFerrari, or you get like, oh my god, I'm gonna buy that LaFerrari. And then when you sit in that LaFerrari that you bought, and that you've actually like fight the money, like you work hard years to buy this LaFerrari, and what now? And then suddenly you saw a friend that have a yacht, and then I will buy that yacht. And then and when you get this basically idea, right? The relentless pursuit of material goods, and it also status. Like I said, it jobs, when you've been like working to get a job, and suddenly I get that job, what do I do? And then you just suddenly aim for a better status, better job. And then when you get that job, you just like, what do I do now? It's just like this. Human is very unique, where even in back then, you just like think about it, right? Oh my god, I wish I have that job. One day I will get that job. And then when you had the job, and then suddenly I get the job, what do I do now? Life is meaningless. And then suddenly, oh my god, I will be the CEO, right? That's what a human is. I mean, that's what basically what makes the world, it is what it is. If people just like keep on focusing on that one specific point, and then when you get to that and you feel this satisfactory, I guess life will be a bit better, and it will be a bit worse than what it is today, because but I think it will be a bit of a peaceful world though. Just a nice way to think of it. Okay, last one is social media. Platform increase comparison and curated identities, which can erode authentic self-esteem and increase feelings of loneliness, because you've been exposed to this, I don't know, some Joe from Canada, right? And then you've been exposed to this Sarah from Egypt. Sarah doesn't come from Egypt, but you get the idea. And then you feel like you look at them unique features, and then suddenly you feel like, oh my god, they're so good looking. Oh, and then when you look in the mirror, you feel like, oh my god, I'm ugly. I'm so ugly. I wish I could have them. You could have them features like them. Be attractive like A, or be as smart as B. Be as rich as D. I don't know. It's basically something like it kind of like undervalue your self-esteem because you feel like you're not that good enough because you've had this like phone, for example. You open your phone and then you see that this one guy has a BMW, and then you just like using the bus. But that's what social media is kind of like ruining, because they are showing their finish line when you've only just like starting from your start line. And then you get this like a millionaire before 30, and then you're just like 29 living in, I mean, like walking or using the public transportation, and then you feel this like, oh my god, I'm a failure. But that's what social media is kind of like ruining today. Despite you can connect to like an old friends, reach out to someone new, all that stuff, it kind of like ruin our own perspectives in a way, and increased feeling of loneliness is you rather like not do anything with social media. You just like scroll through reels or watch some videos or like someone, like a picture about Sarah who you met like 10 years ago. you know and then suddenly she gave the first child, and then suddenly, wow, Sarah from my second grade, yo, that's congratulations. Okay, okay, more than 10 years old, you say. Oh my god, I just cussed. I mean, like, you get the idea, right? This feeling of being like compared daily to someone else, this gives also like some sort of like a bit like of like life is meaningless in a way. You feel like dissatisfactory about what you're getting right now, or what you're doing right now. I mean, it is sad because social media. I mean, you get social media, right? It's a bit sad because you are daily being compared to someone you don't even know, on they don't even know you exist sometimes, and it's getting all this like eroding this authentic self-esteem because you think daily, maybe like, I don't know, every minute you feel like you're not good enough in this world. So it is what makes people lonely also sometimes, where, oh my, like, oh my god, what you doing with your life, okay, the examples of them is studies show rising rates of depression and anxiety in developed countries, often linked to the social and cultural pressures, like what I said, being compared daily, or your parents have the social media and they found that your lost family, like far family, is more richer than you, and they're like, oh, look at him, he's bigger than you, what do you do with your life? I mean, it's kind of like a cultural pressure, also, right? For example, you were 29 and one of your cousin is married at 25 and get kids by 28. and you're just a living single man, single, right? It's also a cultural pressure, okay. And then we'll go to the role of technology and modern work also affects, as in, technology shapes how we experience meaning in profound ways. Alienation, drawing on Marx's concept, modern work can feel fragmented and disconnected from the product or purpose, reducing workers to cogs in a machine. Automation, as machines take over routine tasks, many struggle to find meaningful roles. Digital distractions, constant connectivity can fragment attention, making deep engagement and reflection difficult. The rat race, the pressure to succeed materially often leaves little time for contemplation or relationship. Like, you just have this one friend, they've been like grinding non-stop, and then some maybe some friend ask like, yo, how's your relationship? And then people just like, girls are distractions. That by itself is creating some sort of isolation. I mean, you're just like in pursuit of materialistic goods, materialistic possession. I mean, you could be happy when you're rich, right? But even when that even money cannot buy happiness. And I think that's true. And I've seen people actually struggle with that, where you could be rich, but inside you'll be just like unhappy with life. Like, you're just like having this, for example, you go out and then you see like a beautiful family on a picnic while you're just like sitting in a Mercedes. The most fulfillment way is like you're better than them in materialistic way, but you know when you look at them and then you see like the richest of all is actually family in a way, because you cannot buy family. I mean, if you have money, I think you can attract more people, but if you're using money to attract people and that people attracted by it, that's the wrong people in my opinion. But still, this is what makes this what rat race mean in my opinion, and this constant connectivity that blah 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 blah, right? The example is the rise of burnout and quiet quitting reflects widespread of dissatisfaction with work's meaninglessness. You find this work is meaningless because you don't have there's some sort of purpose of it, and that what makes just what I say, right? A man can endure anything if that that if he actually got the purpose of that pain and suffering and blah blah blah. But when they don't have it, when they don't find meaning, they will have this some sort of emptiness in them, and they don't often find this much drive with someone that actually have meaning. Yeah, you heard this. You heard that here. Not really. I heard it someone else, but if you heard it here first, good for you. I should if actually that happens, I will. This is a trademark. Okay. Next one. Despite these challenges, philosophy offers pathways to reclaim meaning. Existentialist freedom, mindfulness and presence, community and creativity. Okay, I don't know why I keep that tone more when there's only three. Okay, we'll get through that one by one. Existentialist freedom, embrace the responsibility to create meaning through authentic choices, projects, and relationships. Viktor Frank Viktor Frankl's logotherapy. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, argued that meaning can be found even in suffering by causing love, work, and courage. Argued that meaning can be found. So when you actually suffer, you can actually find meaning in that suffering by focusing on love, work, and courage. That's very interesting. That's what I basically said earlier about like even in the suffering alone, by focusing on them, you can actually love that meaning. Like for example, you love your work, or you love your love, I guess, and you love your courage to steps up to get that meaning. Which for me, I think that's very nice and interesting. When if you could live a work that you actually love, there will be some sort of meaning to your life because I'm doing what I love, right? All right, next one. Mindfulness and presence. Practices that cultivate awareness can help reconnect us with the present moment and intrinsic value. That's pretty straightforward. I don't think I need to say anything about it. Community and creativity. Engaging in meaningful social connections and creative endeavors fosters purpose beyond consumerism. So you find purpose. So you find purpose in meaningful social connections and creative fosters purpose beyond consumerism. So you basically make something for people to consume. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. This is why we learn. I'm not giving a lecture. Human can learn every day, guys. And alright, we'll move to the example. Many okay, my bad. Many find renewed meaning in activism, art, spiritually, in mentoring. There's a lot of people that find meaning to their teaching also. For example, teachers. Being a teacher is a bit like stressful in a way, but when you actually like teach someone or teach some like little kids, okay, teach little kids about something new. Sometimes they have this like reaction about ooh, you're just happy, because people are learning from you, making your knowledge is a bit appreciated in a way. Some people actually say that. And this gonna renew their meaning because they have this some sort of like renewed look, renewed point of view, and that is actually what makes life a bit more meaningful to them in a way. I mean, you could actually like argue that, for example, someone work at the cashier and then you found meaning because you see their smile on the face when the food is actually like comes to them, right? they've been hungry all day, and then suddenly when the food came, they have this like some sort of like joy on their face, all that stuff. There's a lot of like small meaning you can get in our daily life also, right? For example, you did something good, and then someone appreciated you, and then your meaning of life is a bit like added. You see joys on someone's face, and then you just like have this some sort of like meaning on your life. And that's what I think makes life beautiful, because if you don't have any meaning on your life will be so awfully empty in a way, because you've been, for example, working years. You've been building like a big house, and then you just spending time alone in that house, where you have like, I don't know, 10 rooms inside of it, and then you just like sit on the emptiness. I don't think that is a happiness, because I would rather have like this medium sized house where I could see my family happy, and that's what makes life meaningful. Some people argue that in order to be happy you need to be rich, but I think I don't really find that a bit like comforting, because why do you build all this? Why you buy all that just to live alone? You see a Rover. They have 4 to 6 seats. You have this sport car, 2 doors, and they still came with 2 or 3. If you don't know, I know that one McLaren comes with a 3. One in the middle and 2 at the back. I'm just saying, okay. In case I'm a bit like, you get the idea. Alright, let's continue. Even a motorcycle comes with 2 seats. Fit with two can fit with 2 people at the same time, right? If you think about it, life life is for me, life is from God, right? I'm a believer, some sort of believer. God created us in pairs. If you don't believe it, if you don't like, if you're not a believer, then you could see from yourself. You just go to your car, and then you can count how many seats, right? I don't think a car comes with 1 seat, except for Formula One. Go-kart doesn't actually car, right? Well, arguable, but why do you, for example, like, why do you? I don't see any happiness in building everything so big and spending time inside it alone, bro. I mean, like, what's the point of living in a massive mansion in the countryside, but you only have one bed, and you only have one plate? Okay, sure. Each people have this different opinions about peace and fulfillment, but for me, I don't think it's as something I would love if I'm in that shoes. Even hopefully, if I'm actually in that shoes, not hopefully, I mean, like, who doesn't want to live in a mansion, right? But I mean, like, you will feel this some sort of like void of meaning, because like, what example, like that nihilism of all of that hedonistic and material possession that you possessed, you're gonna find this some sort of like lack of meaning in your whatever you're going through. Some people actually like okay with it, right? But every person is have like a different way of thinking, so nothing you can do except for respect them in a way. But who doesn't want to live a life where you could be happy in your own way? So despite each people having like different opinion, they will always seek someone else. Not always, but most of them seek someone else, because even if you can live alone, it will be nice to have someone to just be alone with you. So I guess there's something very nice about life. Even though you have like this empty life, you will find, and because you've been like having a lot, right? You don't want anything else. And then suddenly someone came to your life, and then you feel like this renewed sense of meaning. Well, shaping their life is your meaning. For example, I guess some people actually said that, where they raise their kids and their life is just for their kids. That's beautiful. Life is beautiful. And you, if you talk to like a lot of people, you're gonna learn from them a lot. Like you're gonna learn a lot from them. Well, I guess that's what makes life beautiful. You have this cup that you bring, you have filled it to the brim, and then you see someone else with a bigger cup. You know what I'm saying? You have this experience, and someone will have the experience, and they will share that experience to you, and your cup gonna be more full or more bigger in a way. You're gonna learn a lot from people. Well, I I learn a lot from talking to people also. I learn a lot from watching YouTube videos also, not gonna lie. I mean, like, the one point I'm making is, you could be happy in your own way, but it would be more beautiful if you spend it with someone else. I guess that's my way, in my perspectives in a way, because it would be nice building a house, but it will be nice, it'll be more nice if you're building a home. There's a difference between them. Yeah. Hell yeah. This is my podcast or whatever this video is. I don't know. I could talk freely. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't think that's part of the topic. Anyway, let's continue. We almost end, see? I don't know if you can see, but we almost end. Oh my god. We almost gonna close the camera, you know. Okay. In summary about the podcast today, or video, I'm gonna call this a podcast and a video the same. I don't know what I'm talking, man. Okay. In summary of what we've learned today, the feeling that modern life is meaningless arises from profound philosophical, cultural, and psychological shifts. The loss of traditional narratives, the confrontation with absurdity, social fragmentation, and the nature of modern work all contribute. Yet, meaning is not lost forever. It is a challenge and an opportunity, an invitation to actively create purpose through freedom. Oh my god, I cannot read. An invitation to actively create purpose through freedom, commitment, and connection. Human is a, how do I say? It's a community species. Can I call human a species? I think so. That's what my biology teacher told me. Don't attack me. Don't attack my teacher also. Human, they crave connection. Even when you have everything in the world, you still crave connection. I don't know if it's your love interest. I don't know if it's your child. I don't know if it's your student. Basically, people have different crave of connection, and that's what makes the world as it is. You see, some people are doing some volunteer works, right? Because to make the world a better place, and also to communicate and create connection towards other people. So even when even okay, this is from my own perspective. Even when you're like have this uh, material possessions, you have cars, you have houses. What's the purpose of doing all that just to live alone? What's the purpose of having two houses but you only one? What's the purpose of having like too many, too like a lot of bedrooms, but for you to just like use one? Even when you're alone, right? So there's some time where you just crave on being with your family, for example, your siblings or your parents or your cousins, right? So basically, like you could be fulfilled with everything you did, but you will always seek the opportunity to communicate and have that connectivity towards someone. And life is beautiful. Each people is unique. You will learn a lot from their perspectives about why they do this, why they do that, and why they think chasing woman. I mean, hold on, let me, you know, there's like someone they say chasing someone you love, right? Chasing a woman, chasing a man is a pain in the ass, or it's just like waste of time. And then suddenly you talk to someone else, you say being married is one of the happiest of my life, and then you talk to someone else, or I wish I could be happy before I get married, and then someone else they say I am we are actually happy because we actually get married when we're young, you know. There's a lot of perspective that you can learn from someone, and that will kind of like shape your own perspectives. And one day you'll be like learning what makes you you and what makes you happy. So I guess that's the point of life. Life not always meaningless. You just need to seek that meaning, or just be like Nietzsche and crave your own meaning. I don't know. Life is life is a life has a lot of philosophy. You can be happy with what you are right now, and that's okay. I know a lot of people. I know some people that actually happy being single, and I know a lot of people that actually happy being taken, happily being married, happily being this, being that, and that's what makes life beautiful. Of course, there's joy when you actually rich and have everything, and you spend it alone. You know, just like being this happily hedonistic alone. You know, some people. That's what I keep saying. Some people seek different things, and talking to people is actually like really good thing. You can actually learn a lot from them, and one day it will actually help shape your life also. And talking to them also can make you like forge this like meaning, because maybe that's what I'm doing wrong. You know, you can actually learn from their mistakes and learn to not make that mistake in the future. All right, I guess that's what the end of our topic will be. Let's do a recap. I can forget. Okay. the shift from traditional to modernity. We get that. And then existentialism, nihilism, blah blah blah. And yes, not always modern life feels meaningless, because even in your daily life, you think about it, you could find meaning on your life. You just need to like you just need to like see that small, some sort of like things that you see in your life, and maybe they will crave that meaning for you. For example, you go to your sibling's house, and then you see your niece or your nephew, and then you just give them like a little candy or some toys, and then you see the happiness in in their face when when you give it to them. And then even from that small act of kindness, you're gonna feel like there's some sort of like alignment where life is this. You don't always, if you don't always needs, for me, you don't always need to like this, whatever I'm pointing at, but you kind of understand, right? Sometimes you're looking at the wrong things. Sometimes you were too focused on something else, where you'll be supposed to be like looking at something small. You get what I'm coming from, and you get what I'm saying. So that's all for tonight topics. Let's go. That was a really good one, and I know a lot of people actually like post about this. So I hope I am making some sort of difference, because this is a really good topic if I actually missed out on. Okay, well, that's gonna be the end of our topic, and I see really good results from what I'm doing. So good stuff. I hope I can change the world to a better place, even slightly. A slight better is better. I hope I can make someone else day. I don't know. That'll be better. Yeah. So hell yeah. That's gonna wrap our topics today. So I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a nice day. I hope listening to this actually makes your day. I hope you learn something from this. Leave something bad, and maybe benefit from whatever this is to something better, right? So good stuff. And pardon for the lack of like qualities maybe that you didn't find from other videos, but that's what make our channel unique, man. Life is all about learning, so stuff. So thank you if you're actually listening to all of this, and actually like listening to all this, like I don't want to say documents because I'm reading a document, but listening to this podcast and stick around. Everything is appreciated, bro. I don't even know how I get a lot of views. For me, 10 is a 10. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be actually surprised if if I see them in real life. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for listening to my yep. And thank you for everyone who've been like teaching me some stuff, teaching me how to like make life a better life. Right. Thank you all for watching and goodbye. Have a goodbye and take care. Yeah, take care. Bye bye.